All right, let's move on to our day 5 lecture. So let's create a new notebook. So this time our day 5 is about lists. So first and foremost, let's give it a name. So sorry, day 5, right? And yes, let's click on connect as well. So I'll show you one more trick in this, right? So the one that we are using, so these are called notebooks, right? So Jupyter notebooks, Collab notebooks, all of this, right? So there is a reason why they're called notebook. It's not like you have a code and you are running the code all the time. You can actually type in some text as well. For example, if you click on this text and type in something like creating a list. Okay, so you can see you can actually type some text and you can modify it, right? You can increase yeah, you can see you can increase the size of the text, everything, right? So you can actually, that is why it's called a notebook, right? Because it has all of these features. You can delete cells as well, right? So for example, if I want to delete it, you can click on this delete icon, it automatically gets deleted. Okay, so lists is actually one of the most used things in Python for an analyst, right? So during my days as an analyst, so I used lists quite a lot. So it's very important topic, so just pay attention for this. So now what is this list, right? So list is also nothing but a place where you can store information, right? For example, how do you create a list? Right, so what is a list, right? So we'll talk about all of these aspects and what are the things that you can do in these lists as well. So first of all, you have to give it a name, a variable. Okay, now for examples, let's call it items list. Okay, so the way to create a list is you put a square bracket. Okay, and then when you run this, so when you run with shift enter, automatically a new cell is created after running this cell. Okay, so shift enter is used to run and create a new cell. Now this is an empty list. Okay, but what if you want to create a list with some actual items in it? So let's say you went to a store, some Chroma or Reliance store, you went to shop some electronic items and you saw few items, you just made a note of these items. So let's say these items, you start with, let's say, a speaker. Okay, and then you can say a mic, then a mobile, right? Then a laptop. Okay, so let's say 4 items, right? So speaker, mic, mobile and a laptop. You run this, so now you have your list with actually some information inside it. Okay, so this is an empty list, this is a list with some actually information. Okay, I hope you learned here. Now you can actually do a lot of things. For example, let's talk about accessing elements inside a list. Okay, make it a bold. Okay, just a second, you can bold the entire thing, so you can actually format the whole thing, right? So double star gives you this. Okay, so accessing the elements. So how do I access the elements? You can just say items of 0, so that will give you the first item in your list. So here after you run this, you see speaker, right? So item of 0, so Python always starts from 0, so remember that. And if you want the next item, just do 1, you will get mic, then 2, you get mobile, right? So this is very simple, right? So you don't have to do anything. You can also do something like this, print. Inside this you can put items of 2, you can use this as well, so to print. Okay, so items of 2 or print of items of 2, so this both of them give you access to these elements. Okay, now not only these numbers, you can do it in other ways. Like for example, let's say I want to access the last item, right? Now I want to access the last item. See, unless I know there are 4 items in this list, I can't, like for example, how do I access the last element? You can say, David, just do items of 3, right? And I will get the last element. But what if I have hundreds of items inside and I just want the last item, right? So that I don't want to go through every single item, find out the last, right? Now simple way to do it is use a negative index. For example, put -1, right? So -1 gives you laptop, -2 gives you last but one, -3 gives you last but second element. Isn't that simple, right? So this kind of negative, this is called negative indexing. So let's add a text cell, and you can use all of this format, or you can just write it, right? So what did you know now? So negative indexing, double star here and double star here, that will make it bold, right? So this is called negative indexing. So just using a negative number, you will be able to find out. So this is more like a circle, right? So -1, so imagine a clock, right? All of these items are in a clock: speaker, mic, mobile, laptop, right? You turn it clockwise, you get positive numbers. You turn it anti-clockwise, -1, -2, -3, you get these negative indexes. Okay, so the next one that we will be talking about inside list is slicing a list. Okay, so slicing a list, let's put a hash, double star, slicing a list. Okay, now run this. So slicing a list, like for example, you take a bread. So what do you say? Slice of bread, right? So a piece of the bread, right? Similarly, you have a list, you can take a piece of the list, right? So let's say I only want the first couple of items. You can just take the first two elements itself. So how do I do it? So items, and let's say I only want the first two items. Okay, so what you can do is you can just do starting. So starting starts from 0, ending is, let's say, 2. It gives you 1 and 2. So it's like -1. So this -1, you get this, right? So if you mention 2, you get 2 elements. It will access till the first element. If you mention till 3, you get these 3, right? So speaker, mic, mobile. But let's print our items again. So let's say these are our items, right? So these are items. So let's say we want only last 2 items. Okay, you can also get that items. For example, items of, so 0 is this, 1 is this, and 2 is this. So 2 colon, if you put 4, you will get mobile and laptop. Okay, if you put 3, you will only get 1, right? So only mobile, right? So 2 is to 4, this will give you this. And couple of quick hacks here. You don't have to specify the first element also. Let's say you want it from the start, just put colon and 3, it will automatically give you 0 to 3, because the default start value is actually 0, right? And if you remove this 3 and put 2 till the end, so this will assume that, so default is actually end of the list. Okay, so default for starting is empty and put 3. Default for ending is put something and like don't specify anything. It will run, it will automatically give you till the end of the list. Okay, so that is about slicing a list, just like you slice your bread. Okay, next one we will talk about modifying a list. So what if I made some changes, right? So modifying a list, right? Now, so modifying list is nothing but, again, I'll put the actual list first. Now, for example, let's say instead of a laptop, you say PC. Okay, so I don't want a laptop, I want a PC. So in that case, what you can do is, so you have to access the laptop first, correct? So laptop is nothing but your third element, right? So fourth element, but you have to put the index 3 because it starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, laptop. Now I want to change it to PC. So what you can do is just put of 3 is equals to PC, then run it. Now print your items list. So you can actually see your fourth element, your final element is actually replaced by a PC. Very simple, isn't it? So that is how you can actually modify your existing elements, right? So I would say modifying elements in a list. Let's put that. Okay, modifying elements in a list. Now that was simple. Now what if I want to add more items? You can do that also. Like for example, let's add one more text cell and adding elements to a list. Okay, we missed the double quotes towards the end. Let's put it back. Okay, now adding elements to this list. Okay, once again, items. So items will give me this speaker, mic, mobile and PC. For example, let's say I want to add charger. Okay, so you can just do items dot. So the word here is, you can already see my notebook is suggesting, it's called append, 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 and put your, like, let's say charger, right? You run this, so it will automatically add. Now if you try to access items inside, then you will get speaker, mic, mobile, PC and a charger. You can keep adding more items, like items dot append. So let's say what else do we add, right? So think of it, right? So let's say camera, right? And now you see automatically added. So we added a charger, we added a camera as well. So this is how you can simply add these items. And you can similarly, you can, like, so just the way you have added these items, you can also remove items, right? So simple way to remove items is just using remove function. So let's look at that also. Remove elements. Now items dot remove. So let's say I want to remove a camera. Okay, so if I remove camera and items, print items, you can see that the camera is actually removed from our items. And if you want to delete the whole list, you can also, or you want to delete in any other way, you can use the delete function, delete items of let's say the last one. Okay, so now you do it. Now print the items. So you can see the last item is actually deleted using the delete keyword, right? You can see it's in pink color. So delete also you can remove. And if you want to clear this list, okay, so items dot clear will actually clear this entire list. Now if you try to access items, it will be empty because it is all cleared. Okay, now so that is how you can do it. So let's put the items back. So how do we do this? Copy all of these values and put items is equals to this, and this will automatically give you. Okay, so next one is, like, I want to check whether some item is actually there in the list. Like for example, so this we call it checking for existence. Okay, so let's just making sure if that item is actually present in a list or not, right? So for example, let's say I am looking for earbuds. Okay, so earbuds is actually not there in these items, correct? So that we know because we already know what is inside this items, and we can actually look at these items. But what if you have like 500, 600 items and then you're trying to check? You can't go through every single item, isn't it? So how do we check it? Very easily. It's very simple, right? So I'll tell you a small trick. Okay, so what you can do is, so let's say I want to check earbuds, right? So are earbuds in the list? Okay, you are trying to check. So simple. So print, you just do a print and then earbuds in items. Run this. You can see whether it's true or false. Isn't this crazy, right? So simple print statement, and you are using a keyword called in. Okay, just make a note of this. So in is more like an English word. Earbuds in items. Okay, instead of earbuds, let's say we put a mic. Then run this. This will actually give you a true value because this is true. Mic is actually there in the item. So let's go back and put earbuds. So that is how you can get whether it's a true or false. Quite simple, isn't it? And last two things, we've actually covered 8 things so far, and number 9 we will go through a very important one, which is length of a list, right? So let me add a simple text cell here. So text cell length of a list. Okay, so this is also one of the most used function, so you will be using it quite a lot of time. For example, so items, if I put items, so let's count how many items are there. So 1 2 3 4 and 5, so 5 items are there. If I just do length of items, len, you will automatically get this 5, right? So even if there are like 500 elements, 10,000 elements, 20,000 elements, you will get to know the exact number using this length keyword. len, put brackets, and inside brackets put these items, you will automatically get the actual length of the list. Right, so before we close about lists, there is one important piece that you have to know. So that is called list comprehension. So let's take a look at list comprehension. Okay, now this list comprehension is actually it's nothing but writing a loop inside a list. Okay, so I'll tell you how do we do this, right? So for example, you have scores. Okay, so exam scores, cricket scores, football scores, whatever it could be. So let's say we have some exam scores, so 70, 80, 90, 95. So these are our exam scores. Okay, now so let's say I want to calculate the half of their score. So what do? You just divide each and every score by 2. Like, what is the half of this score? Okay, now one way of doing it is, I'll tell you 2 ways: using list comprehension and without using list comprehension. Without using list comprehension, you can do it using for loop, right? So for I in scores, okay, that means for every element in scores, print I by 2. If you run this, you will get half the score, like 35, 40, 45, 47.5. This is one way of doing it. And another way of doing it is, you take an empty square bracket and you write the for inside this. I for I in scores. If you just do this, you get the scores 70, 80, 90, 95. But if you do I by 2 for I in scores, you will actually get it. So this is actually faster than a for loop, right? So I by 2, this list comprehension. So remember, list comprehension is always faster than a normal for loop. So I by 2 for I in scores gives you this actual item. So let's recall what did we do in this entire chapter. So we've created a list, empty list, then access elements, negative indexing, slicing a list, modifying elements in a list, then adding new elements, then removing elements, right? So using these words, clear, all of this. Then we checked the existence of this item inside a list. Then we also found the length of a list. Then finally we ended up with list comprehension, where you can actually write things like logics inside a list itself. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.